Imagine spending like 2 years and $10 million building this state-of-the-art software system, right?
Oh, I've seen it happen.
Right. And only to realize on launch day that you solved completely the wrong problem.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
It really is. I mean, it happens all the time. A team builds something that's just technically flawless, but fundamentally useless.
Exactly.
So today's source material is this document that basically exists entirely to prevent that exact nightmare. Welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are looking at a really comprehensive business analysis glossary. And, on the surface, it's this dense 10-minute read packed with like industry-recognized methodologies and corporate terminology.
It is very dense. A lot of alphabet soup in there.
Tons of it. But
Yeah.
beneath that alphabet soup is this hidden language. It's like a universal toolkit for solving complex problems, navigating these impossible decisions, and, well, actually getting things done.
Yeah, turning the theory into practice.
Exactly. So if you are tuning in today, you probably have some massive complex project on your desk right now. And our mission is to turn this glossary into a practical toolkit for you.
So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because before a business can solve any problem, they have to, understand the environment they're operating in. They need a foundational mindset.
They absolutely do.
And jumping right into these sources, there is one term that immediately stands out to me, mainly because it sounds like a 19th century philosophical concept, not a corporate buzzword.
Oh, you're talking about Weltanschauung.
Yes, Weltanschauung.
It really does stand out. And honestly, it's kind of the anchor for everything else in the document.
So?
Well, the glossary defines it as the broader picture that makes a solution meaningful.
Yeah.
So think about that $10 million software failure you just mentioned at the top of the show.
Right.
That usually happens when a team has like deep technical skills, but they lack a true Weltanschauung.
They don't see the big picture. Exactly. They don't understand the ultimate purpose of what they are actually doing within the broader context of the company or, the whole market. I mean, a solution has to have meaning or it's just wasted effort.
Which obviously requires a lot of context.
Yeah.
But building that context isn't just a matter of like sitting in a room and brainstorming on a whiteboard.
No, definitely not.
The glossary points out that finding this broader picture requires a domain expert.
Yes.
Like someone with in-depth lived experience in a particular field, right? Whether that is healthcare or decentralized finance or supply chain logistics.
Because they know the unwritten rules. They
Right.
know the specific regulations and the historical pitfalls of that specific industry that an outsider just wouldn't see.
Right. But you can't just rely on them blindly, right?
You have to pair that specialized knowledge with critical thinking.
Which means what in this context?
The text really emphasizes using objective logic and reasoning to form judgments, rather than just relying on intuition.
Oh.
So, a domain expert might know how things have always been done, but critical thinking challenges whether that is how they should be done moving forward.
That makes a lot of sense. And to map this all out structurally, the analysts use these strategic frameworks.
They do.
I mean, we all know the standard SWOT analysis, right? Evaluating your internal strengths and weaknesses against external opportunities and threats.
Sure, the classic SWOT.
But what's really compelling here is how they pair it with a PESTLE analysis to map out the whole macro environment.
Yeah, PESTLE is fantastic for that.
Just as a refresher, PESTLE being the framework for analyzing external forces. So that's political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental.
That's right.
So if we think about this practically, having a Weltanschauung isn't just knowing how to fix a leaky pipe. It's asking, why the house was built in a swamp in the first place.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Thanks. And PESTLE isn't just testing the swamp water, right? It's checking if the local government is about to rezone the swamp or if the macroeconomic climate makes draining it too expensive.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. You are mapping every single external pressure point before you ever pick up a wrench.
Right.
You are forcing yourself to look outward before you look inward at your own capabilities.
Okay, but I have to push back here a little bit.
Go for it.
If you are spending all your time analyzing the political climate of the swamp and the social impact of the swamp.
Yep, I see where you're going.
And cross-referencing that with your internal SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
doesn't that just lead to massive overthinking? Like, do these teams ever actually get any work done, or do they just get perpetually trapped in the planning phase?
Well, that is the perpetual trap, isn't it? The swamp kind of pulls you in.
Exactly.
Analysis paralysis is a very real danger, which is why the best analysts don't just gather data endlessly. They use specific mechanisms to actually force a decision.
Okay, because you can't stay in the discovery phase forever.
Right. You need a structured decision-making toolkit to sort through all that chaos.
So how do they force that transition? Like, how do you take all this macro environmental data and actually decide what to do next?
Well, the Glossary highlights this brilliant problem-solving technique developed by Edward de Bono.
Oh, the 6 thinking hats.
Exactly. The 6 thinking hats. It is designed specifically to break a team out of those exhausting circular arguments.
How does it work?
So instead of an unstructured debate where, one person is acting entirely on emotion, another is playing devil's advocate, and a third is being hyper-logical, you synchronize the room.
Meaning everyone does the same thing at once.
Yes. You literally force everyone to look at the problem from the exact same perspective at the exact same time.
Okay, looking at the breakdown here, the hats represent distinct modes of thought. So white is logical, red is emotional, black is critical, yellow is optimistic, green is creative, and blue manages the organization of the thought process itself.
Right. So think about the mechanism of how that actually works in a real meeting. You tell the room, okay, everyone, put on the black hat.
So everyone gets negative.
Yes. For the next 10 minutes, we are only discussing the critical risks and why this project might fail.
Oh, wow.
You get all the negativity out in the open, then you pivot. Now, yellow hat. What is the most optimistic, absolute best case scenario?
That's so smart. It validates human emotion and skepticism, but it contains them within these designated boundaries so they don't derail the entire decision-making process.
Exactly. It weaponizes the different ways people naturally think rather than letting those styles clash.
But what if you just need raw numbers? Like when a team needs to get purely mathematical about their chases, the text points to MCDA, right?
Yes, multi-criteria decision analysis.
Right. This is where you just remove the emotional hats entirely, I assume.
Pretty much. You evaluate competing options by assigning weighted numerical values to costs, benefits, and risks.
Which forces you to prioritize objectively. But, okay, here's where it gets really interesting, at least for me.
Oh, yeah.
The Glossary introduces this framework called Moscow prioritization.
Yes, MOSCOW.
Right. It's a categorization method for project requirements. You basically divide everything into 4 buckets.
The must-have, should-have, could-have, and won't-have buckets.
Yes, and that won't-have category is the one that really shifts the paradigm.
It really does.
I mean, if you are listening to this and mapping out your team's Q3 goals right now, just stop for a second. Have you actually sat down and written out your won't-have list yet?
Most people haven't.
Exactly. Because when we think about prioritization, we are always listing the things we, need to do. Why is defining what we aren't doing just as critical?
Well, because without a defined won't-have list, your project has 0 defensive walls.
No borders.
Right. Resources and time are finite. If you don't explicitly state what is out of bounds, those features or tasks will slowly just bleed into your workflow.
Because ambitious teams always think, oh, we can probably squeeze this one extra thing in.
Exactly. Establishing a firm won't-have category gives your team the psychological permission to just ignore distractions and totally protects their core focus.
It's boundary setting, but at a corporate level.
Exactly.
And that naturally forces your next step, which is turning those boundaries into action.
All right, moving from planning to doing.
And since we all know the mechanics of SMART goals, making sure objectives are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, what really matters here is the application.
Yes.
The time-bound and measurable constraints are exactly what pull you out of that analysis paralysis we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You can't just theorize anymore. The clock is actually ticking.
Decisions are made, boundaries are drawn. Now you have to execute.
And execute well.
Right. And as we move into the execution phase of the Glossary, the overarching obsession becomes efficiency, trimming the fat.
Right. The text contrasts a few major methodologies for how organizations actually do this in practice.
It brings up lean methodology first,
which focuses on continuous incremental improvement, right? It's all about maximizing customer value while minimizing waste in the workflow.
That's right. Broadly about improving the flow. But then it contrasts that with Six Sigma,
which is much more rigid.
Very much so. While lean is about flow, Six Sigma is deeply, deeply mathematical. It is a data-driven push to just eliminate defects entirely.
Like aiming for absolute perfection.
Pretty much. Six Sigma uses statistical modeling to identify exactly where a process deviates from near perfection. It finds those microscopic errors in a system that humans simply can't see, ensuring that a product or service is delivered flawlessly almost every single time.
Wow. And then you throw logistics into the mix with strategies like JIT, right? Or just-in-time production.
Yes, JIT is fascinating.
I was looking at the breakdown of JIT, and it's incredible how it weaponizes timing to eliminate warehouse costs. You coordinate your supply chain so perfectly that you only receive goods the exact moment they are needed in the production process.
It completely eliminates the massive financial waste of just storing raw materials.
But it seems risky, no?
Oh, it is high risk. I mean, if a delivery truck is delayed by a snowstorm, your entire production line halts.
Wow. So no room for error.
Zero. And, these incremental improvements, Lean, Six Sigma, JIT, they are powerful, but they all assume the underlying structure of your business is actually sound.
Which it might not be.
Right. Sometimes the foundation itself is just flawed, which brings us to the core difference between BPM and BPR.
Okay, let's break those down. BPM is business process management. The Glossary defines it as the ongoing, systematic approach to improving and automating existing processes.
Right, that's the ongoing maintenance.
But BPR, business process re-engineering, is entirely different. That is the radical redesign of core business processes to achieve dramatic improvements.
Completely different beast.
So, to use an analogy, Lean or BPM is like continually keeping your closet organized. You are, color-coding your shirts, maybe buying some better hangers.
Nice and tidy.
But business process re-engineering is taking a sledgehammer to the wall, ripping out the floorboards, and building a completely new walk-in wardrobe.
The sledgehammer is exactly what BPR feels like to an organization.
I can imagine.
It often means eliminating entire departments, bringing in entirely new software ecosystems, and fundamentally changing how the company makes money.
Which has to cause absolute panic.
A massive panic.
I mean, don't organizations naturally resist BPR? You are essentially telling an entire workforce that the way they have operated for the last decade is completely obsolete.
They resist it vehemently, which is why a radical redesign will fail without change management.
Ah, okay.
The Glossary emphasizes this heavily. You need a structured, psychological, and operational approach to transition individuals from their current state to the new system.
You have to win them over.
Exactly. You have to secure their buy-in, or they will honestly just sabotage the new process. Oh yeah, either intentionally or just through sheer habit of doing things the old way. And the ultimate judge of whether that sledgehammer was worth all the chaos comes down to the financial metrics.
Like ROI.
Right, ROI, return on investment, and ROE, return on equity. Measuring how efficiently the company is generating profit for its shareholders after the dust finally settles.
But let's be real. ROI projections on paper rarely survive contact with reality.
So true.
Even the most perfectly re-engineered, lean-optimized projects hit a wall when they get into the actual trenches of day-to-day management.
The daily grind.
Which brings us to the ultimate villain of the execution phase.
Oh yes, scope creep.
The silent killer.
It really is the silent killer of projects. Scope creep is the uncontrolled expansion of a project's requirements, but without any adjustments to time, cost, or resources.
Like when you ignore the Moscow priorities.
Exactly. Remember that won't have list we talked about? When stakeholders slowly start demanding those ignored features and the team just says yes without adjusting the budget, you are suffering from scope creep.
It's a classic scenario, right? Like you agree to paint a client's living room, and while you're there, they ask if you can just quickly fix a leaky faucet.
Just real quick.
Yeah. And before you know it, you are remodeling their entire kitchen for the original price of just the paint job.
And your profit margin completely vanishes.
Oof.
So to combat this, analysts rely heavily on risk management and risk mitigation.
Meaning?
Identifying these traps early and having a contractual or operational plan to neutralize them. The Glossary points out a massive historical shift in how teams manage this exact chaos, moving from SSADM to Agile.
Okay, so SSADM.
Yep.
That stands for Structured System Analysis and Design Method.
Right.
It is a very traditional linear approach, right?
Right.
Often called the waterfall method. You finish all your requirements, then you design the whole system, then you build it.
Very step by step. It requires knowing exactly what the final product will look like on day one.
Which is impossible now.
Exactly. The modern business landscape moves way too fast for that, which is why the industry relies on Agile.
And Agile is iterative. It focuses on flexibility, continuous customer feedback, And delivering rapid, small improvements rather than waiting for one massive launch day.
Exactly.
Wait, I need to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because there seems to be like a massive contradiction here. If Agile is entirely based on flexibility, constantly adapting to customer feedback, doesn't that inherently encourage scope creep?
Oh, absolutely. It sounds like it would.
Right. I mean, if you're always changing direction based on what the client wants today, how do you ever actually finish the software?
That is the central paradox of Agile, honestly. It's a brilliant question. On paper, it sounds like an open invitation for total chaos.
So how does it work?
The mechanism that prevents scope creep in Agile is the sprint.
Okay.
A sprint is a strict time box, usually 2 weeks long. The team commits to a highly specific small batch of work for those 2 weeks, and during that time, the scope is absolutely locked. The client cannot change their mind mid-sprint. You deliver that small piece, gather feedback, and then you adapt the plan for the next sprint.
So you get flexibility in the macro direction, but rigid control in the micro execution.
Exactly.
So the flexibility happens between the sprints, not during them.
You got it?
And managing those locked-in sprints requires, a massive ecosystem of specialized tools. The Glossary maps out this entire software landscape.
It's a crowded landscape, for sure.
But it's not just about having a place to chat, right? It's about how these platforms enforce the methodology. Think about how project trackers like Jira, Asana, Rally, Version 1, or Trello actually function.
Right.
They visually force your tasks into a digital dashboard where scope creep has basically nowhere to hide.
They create total transparency. And to map out the logic of the business before you ever put it into Jira, analysts use diagramming tools.
Like Lucidchart.
Yep, Lucidchart, Draw.io, Glyphy, and Microsoft Visio.
Very common.
And they frequently rely on BPMN.
Business process model and notation.
Yes. This is a standardized graphical language. It ensures that a software developer in Berlin and a business manager in Tokyo can look at the exact same flowchart and understand the logic of the process without any ambiguity.
It's universal.
It has to be.
And after all that tracking, diagramming, and coding, you face the final hurdle. You have to prove the thing actually works in the real world.
The scary part.
Right. The Glossary outlines a grueling testing phase, starting with functional testing to make sure the software actually does what the blueprint said it would do.
Followed by performance testing.
Because it has to handle the load.
Exactly. The buttons might work, but what happens when 10,000 users click them at the exact same time?
Everything crashes.
Right. Performance testing evaluates speed, stability, and scalability under those extreme workloads. And if it survives that, you face the final boss.
UAT. User acceptance testing, where the actual end users get their hands on the system to verify it meets their real-world business requirements before it officially goes live.
UAT is where you find out if your Weltanschauung from the very beginning was actually correct.
Full circle.
Did you build something meaningful for the people who actually have to use it?
But here is the breaking point as we look at the final segment of this glossary.
Okay.
UAT and Agile sprints are built for human pacing. Humans can test a new dashboard or a new workflow. But what happens when the system isn't just human inputs?
Right.
What happens when a business process is handling millions of variables a second? The tools we've discussed feel like they are hitting a limit when faced with the sheer scale of modern data.
Oh, completely. We have crossed the threshold into the era of intricate data.
Meaning?
The volume, velocity, and variety of information flowing through modern organizations cannot be processed manually anymore.
Right.
A human analyst can't sit in Excel and find patterns in a billion data points. That forces the evolution into advanced technology, starting with the IoT.
The Internet of Things.
Yes. We are talking about millions of physical devices, sensors, and machines constantly collecting and exchanging data in real time.
And to handle the immediate fallout of all that data, the glossary introduces RPA.
Robotic process automation.
Right. We aren't just giving humans better tools. We are deploying software bots to take over entirely. They handle the high-volume, rule-based, repetitive tasks instantly.
And then you combine those RPA bots with NLP.
Natural language processing.
Exactly. Allowing artificial intelligence to interpret, analyze, and even generate human language. The system can read contracts, summarize feedback, and route information without any human intervention.
It's wild.
It is. But the absolute pinnacle of this technological shift is predictive modeling.
Using historical data and machine learning algorithms to actually forecast future outcomes.
Yes. We are no longer just reacting to a supply chain delay.
Right.
The predictive model analyzes weather patterns, historical traffic data, and supplier performance to tell you a delay is going to happen 3 weeks before it actually does.
You are literally anticipating reality.
Exactly. And to even comprehend what the AI is telling you, analysts rely on massive visualization engines.
Like Tableau.
Tableau, Power BI, and Google Looker, or even just advanced Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint to turn those billions of data points into a digestible dashboard.
But I mean, with IoT sensors gathering everything we do and NLP reading our private communications, the guardrails have to be immense.
They absolutely are.
When we are dealing with massive enterprise structures like an ERP, enterprise resource planning systems that integrate every facet of a business, or a CRM managing every detail of customer interactions, there is a massive ethical and legal liability.
The Glossary underscores this with regulatory compliance.
I can't just let an RPA bot run wild in a database.
Definitely not. And this is especially critical when dealing with an EHR.
An electronic health record system.
Right. These systems hold the most sensitive data on Earth, and they must comply with strict legal frameworks.
Like the FDA.
Yes, you have the FDA regulating the software if it impacts patient health, and IPA mandating strict privacy and security standards for medical information.
Right. A single data breach or algorithmic error here doesn't just cost money. It ruins lives and brings down federal penalties.
Huge penalty.
Which honestly explains the massive emphasis on professional validation at the end of the document.
It ties it all together.
When you are dealing with millions of data points across HIPAA-compliant EHR systems, a company can't just trust that you are, good at making spreadsheets.
No.
They need proof that you understand how to navigate this entire matrix safely.
That is exactly why the industry relies on a strict ladder of certifications, primarily from the IABA.
The International Institute of Business Analysis.
Yes. It starts with the ECBA to prove you understand the foundational concepts.
Okay.
Then you move up to the CBAP for seasoned professionals handling complex projects, and the CAP specifically for analytics professionals diving really deep into the data.
And then project management.
Right. You pair those with a PMP project management professional certification to prove you don't just understand the analysis, but you can actually lead the team executing it.
So what does this all mean?
Big question.
Right. I mean, we've journeyed from understanding the philosophy of a problem all the way to deploying machine learning algorithms to predict the future. We have RPA bots doing the heavy lifting, NLP reading the documents, and predictive modeling anticipating customer needs.
That's a lot.
If the technology is doing all of this, what is the actual role of the human analyst moving forward?
Well, what this glossary ultimately reveals is that the human role is elevating. It's not disappearing.
Elevating how?
The mechanics of business analysis, like structuring a sprint in Jira, running a statistical Six Sigma test, or writing a SQL query, all of that can be automated.
Sure.
But prioritizing what truly matters with the Moscow framework, managing the emotional resistance to a massive business process reengineering, and ensuring an AI model complies with complex legal regulations, those require human judgment.
Empathy, essentially.
Exactly. The machines can crunch the numbers at an unimaginable scale, but a human still has to decide which numbers actually matter to the business.
It really brings us full circle. You can have the most advanced predictive modeling in the world, automatically re-engineering your supply chain with perfect efficiency. But if it doesn't serve a human purpose, or if it violates the trust of your users, it is completely useless.
A universal toolkit, but guided by humans.
Right. Which leaves you with a thought for the future. If these systems continue to evolve, and the bots eventually become so advanced that they handle all the data gathering, all the sprint tracking, and all the execution.
Where does that leave us?
Yeah, will the future business analyst even need technical skills at all? Or will their only job be pure Weltanschauung? Just sitting back, defining what meaningful means for humanity and letting the machines build the rest.
That is a truly fascinating perspective to leave off on, the ultimate shift from technician to philosopher.
Something to ponder next time you find yourself buried in a spreadsheet. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Catch you next time.